Hello, my name is Adedoyin Jaisimi, and I am excited to be teaching this Measurable Comms Objectives course because it is something that is highly overlooked, but is so essential to the success of the work we do as communications professional. If I should ask you, when your senior leaders come to you to say, oh, we need a strategy, we need a plan for this activity, what's the first thing you do? You just think, okay, yes, we need influencer marketing. You're thinking of your strategies. You're thinking, oh, we need media relations. Oh, we need to do a press conference. Oh, we have to send out a press release. But that's not the first thing that you need to do. If you've been following my Com Simplified series by now, I hope you know that there's research that needs to be done before you even start any com strategy or plan, because it's part of the process. And a critical part that is often overlooked is the objective. So this course, I'm going to show you how to be proficient at setting the right objectives for your comms plan. And some of you may have watched the bite-sized 15-minute video that I did on YouTube. So this goes even deeper than the YouTube video. Just in case you don't know me or it's the first time, you're seeing my face, my name is Adedoyin Jaisimi. I'm a communications advisor. I've been doing this for over 11 years. I can't even believe it myself. I've been doing this for over 11 years. And I am a corporate trainer. I train organizations and comms teams on different communications topics. And then I'm also a part-time lecturer at the Chartered Institute of Public Relations program at the University of Nairobi. And I'm the co-founder of the Comms Avenue, which is a capacity building and networking platform for communications professionals across Africa and beyond. It's my pleasure to be your tutor today. I love teaching. I love training. I love passing on knowledge. And I really do hope that you gain a lot of knowledge from this video that you can use practically to get results in your work. Okay, so why are objectives important? We're currently running a program at the Comms Avenue, Comms Intensive Africa, and it's clear that people don't really comprehend the value of objectives, but they're so important. They're so important for many reasons. They give you a clear direction and focus for your strategy. You see that thing in you that immediately starts thinking of your tactics, thinking of, oh, we need to engage these influencers, oh, we need to have billboards. Let me tell you, once you are able to set clear and measurable objectives, it helps you to say, this is the best strategy that we need to achieve this objective. And it also helps you to determine the resources required to achieve the overall goal. Have you ever created an elaborate plan and then your organization tells you they do not have the budget? As you are setting your objectives, you know what is reasonable, you know what is achievable, and you can have a reasonable budget to work with based on the resources that you have. And it ensures that everybody is on the same page. Nobody is unclear when it comes to execution. We know exactly what we are doing because it's clearly defined in our objectives, and everybody will be on the same page and in the same direction. And then it also helps with linking your comms and PR objectives to the business objective. How many times have you heard them ask you, what did PR and comms bring to the table? I really do not like that statement, but I do not blame organizations because we've not been able to articulate our value. And then most importantly, for our comms objectives, our comms activities and our comms programs, we've not aligned it with what the business wants to achieve. So we've done this elaborate event. How does it tie into what the organization wants? How does it tie into what's important to the organization? And this is where your objectives are very, very important. So if you have been avoiding objectives or you've been setting the wrong objective, because sometimes generate visibility, generate buzz. I'm like, what exactly is buzz? So in the assignments for the students, I have a lot of, what does this mean? How do you want to measure this, right? You need to be very, very clear, and having your objective does this. So let's just look at, how things work. This course is specifically tailored to for-profit organization, corporate organization, but the principles apply to development organization. The only difference is your objective is not profit. Your objective is either you want to get donor, you want to get behavior change, you want to get a change in perception, or you want to get people to buy into your cause. But the thinking is exactly the same. So you have a business case, and every organization, business brand exists for a purpose. There is a reason why we exist. And so when you look at the objective, there's profit. We want to make money. We want to be more efficient. So we want to save money. We want to improve our processes, productivity. You have market share because we exist within an industry. The better market share we have, the more money we will have, the more, customer client base we have and all of that, waste of community impacts. This applies more to non-profit organizations. And then we want to achieve growth. We want to grow. So your comms plan must be tailored towards achieving those objectives. So let's start with an example. Your business, you want to expand to, let's say, East Africa. Whatever comms activity, program, or plan that you do has to be aligned with that desire or that goal to go into East Africa. Now, if my senior leader comes to me to say, Adedoyin, we want to expand into East Africa, come and create a strategy. That's very great. I'm going to say, what do we want to achieve with this expansion? We do not ask our senior leaders questions, or sometimes you do not ask the right questions. And there's nothing like, oh, they're too busy, they won't answer me. Trust me, it's in the interest and benefit of the entire organization that they answer you. So you just need to know how to ask the right questions. And I'm going to do a different course, put one on YouTube, and also do a course like this on communication research. What are the questions you need to be asking? So the organization wants to, go to East Africa. Why? Why is this important to our overall goal? The presence in East Africa, what's it going to do for us? The expansion, is there a longer term goal for us to expand across the entire Africa region? Is there a longer term goal for us to go outside of Africa? You need all of this information, because that way your activity won't just be for now. You also think about the future. So you're positioning that organization. So it's like, okay, do we now need to, if for example, the organization is based in Ghana, so do you want to now become a Pan-African brand, or do you want to become like a global brand, or do we want to become indigenous, whatever it is? But you need to be able to ask all of those questions, and it is very, very important. And so at the foundation is, what does my organization want to achieve? Please ask this question. What is the measure of success? What does this organization want to achieve? Why do we want to, this product that we are releasing? Why are we releasing this product? For us, as we release this product, what is our goal? We want to attract new customers. We want to solve this problem. You need to be very, very clear and ask the right question. And that understanding of your organization objectives is what will help you to set measurable objectives, which will then help you to have the right strategy and have the right tactics. So, these are just different things: sales, market share, stock price, earnings per share, efficiency, productivity, employee retention. When they ask you how much the comms bring to the table, your comms activity can actually cause the organization to save money. And that in itself is something, because profit is not just about, or making money is not just about, money that has come in. It's also money that was saved, efficiency. And so you have lost reputation crisis. So far, we've done well in terms of crisis, loss, and that's usually when they think of PR. But when it's time to think about the return on investment or things that tie into the core business metrics, people don't really think that we bring value. And that's where we actually do have a lot of value. So this is what you need to have at the back of your mind. So going back to the example, we want to go into East Africa. How can communications and PR support these goals and expectations? What can be done? Does this mean that we now need to build a community around this brand in East Africa? What is the messaging going to be? What will prevent or facilitate our business success? So for example, you want to go in East Africa and your board or your organization, it's largely Ghanaian, or it's largely, from whichever West African country. Is this going to enable the Kenyan market or East African market to receive your business? What do we need to do? How does our organization need to be positioned? How do we need to be perceived? What stakeholders are then important right now? Which are we going to prioritize or put? Can you see all of these questions that I'm asking? I don't know how many of you ask these questions, but you need to be asking these questions, right? And then what themes do we need to prioritize in our communication? For those of you that work across Africa, you know that what has worked for you in East Africa will not necessarily work for you so what has worked in East Africa or West Africa will not work in East Africa. And then what works or what works in Kenya will not necessarily work in Uganda or will not necessarily work in Rwanda. So you need to be clear. What are the themes? What do we need to project about our business? What will cause the East African market to jump at us or to embrace this business, and how long will be needed to achieve our objectives? Sometimes we set objectives. I remember I got a call, it was during the pandemic, and this particular organization, they wanted 100,000 viewers on a virtual program, virtual conference. This was barely 2 weeks, no known speaker, and this was a time of Zoom fatigue. I was like, please, it's not going to happen. I'm not even going to lie to you. This is not going to happen. I don't do things that are unrealistic. So I was like, no, you, first of all, even if it's by whatever magic, the people that you have put as speakers, they're not heavyweights. So they don't even have a target audience they can pull in, right? To help you meet these numbers. And then people were tired of Zoom. So you're in that lull of Zoom fatigue. And yes, like, please, either you reduce that number or you postpone the date of this virtual conference. So let's look at the foundation. As I said before, and I'm going to say it quite a number of times, please forgive me if I sound as a broken record, but because it's very important. I always want you to think about, what does my organization want to achieve? What is important to my organization? Let me tell you why this is important. At the end of the year, when they're doing performance review, when the organization is looking at performance and what was done, it's going to be based on what they set out at the beginning of the year to achieve. So everything you do has to be aligned. You have to find a way to say, this is how we contributed to where this organization wants to be. You must be able to define it. And it's by setting the right objectives that you're able to do that. And so you have to start with objectives that are quantifiable, because that is when you measure. Imagine saying something like, we want to increase significant balls. What does that even mean? How do you measure significant balls? So in order to quantify your objective, you're thinking about who your stakeholders are. And please do not tell me that your stakeholders or the people you're targeting is women, men. How? Do you know the vast difference in women that are 20 to 29 and women that are 30 to 39? So how can you be targeting all women? Right? I know it sounds nice. It's like, oh, my product is for everybody. But the truth is, when you do your research properly, when you do the audience segmentation, you realize actually it's not all women. And if you look at the data, in fact, I challenge you to go to the back end right now of your social media metrics or social media platform, the analytics, for those of you that can afford deeper analytics tool. If you look at those insights, you will see the actual target audience that is attracted to your brand, or even go to sales and just even see where the sales is coming from, whether it's men, women, what region. You'll be very surprised. So you can't say it's men or women. What are we trying to accomplish here? Are we trying to increase brand awareness? Are we trying to, I don't know, what is it that we're trying to do? Are we trying to improve our reputation? What is the time frame? And then by how much? So we want to increase brand awareness by how much? This is where the measurement comes in. So if you say you want to increase brand awareness, what is our current level of brand awareness? By how much do we need to increase so that we have enough people that will be interested in this product and then take a decision to buy, or take a decision to subscribe, or take a decision to download? These are the ways you need to be thinking before. Can you see? Before you create your strategy, these are the things that you need to sort out. Because when you do all of these things, then you can see this strategy is the best fit for what it is that we want to achieve right now. And so your objective must be SMART. Again, be precise about what you want to achieve. This is really what we want to achieve. How do we know that we have been able to achieve it? This is where it has to be measurable. It has to be achievable. Like the example I gave you, the 100,000 in 2 weeks, that's not achievable. Someone say, oh, we want to get $10 million by, I'm just like, is that really achievable? There's economic recession in a lot of countries all over the world. For example, anybody doing campaigns right now in Nigeria, and you've not factored in the elections, I'm going to ask you why, because that's possibly, there's uncertainty, and that uncertainty has an impact on your campaign. Is it realistic? Do you have the resources? Do you have this budget to implement this grand idea that you've already implemented here? And then what is the time frame? What is the time frame in which we want to achieve this? Again, this is also ties into the realistic and the achievable part of things. So let's look at the key types of objectives. Now, there are 3 key types. You don't need to have all of them at once, but it's highly important that you think about your outcome objective, because that's the one that really shows the results. That's the one that really shows the value. That's the one that really shows, oh, this is aligned with the organization, what the organization wants to achieve. So it starts with the output objective, which is looking at the volume, that's the communication channel. So number of people that are attending this event, for example, we want 100 people to attend the event. We want X number of placements in tier 1 media platforms from our press release. We want X number of downloads of this from our website. This really looks at the channels and what it is, the numbers that you want from those channels. While the outcome is about gauging the degree to which your communication affects awareness, affects understanding, affects preference, and affects behavior. And it is achieved as a result of the output. So because, for example, people were able to attend these events, that helped to increase awareness about the product and the services that business offers, understanding, how has the knowledge of this brand or knowledge of this product or service increased? What behavior do you want them to take? Do you want them to buy? Do you want them to subscribe? Do you want them to attend a conference? Do you want them to register? Do we want them to, join a community? Do you want them to recommend? Whatever it is, you just need to be able to define it there. And then business results is then to the degree to which your comms and PR makes a direct contribution towards the financial goals of the organization. And the objectives can be increased sales, lowered costs, higher stock price, and all of that great stuff. Again, like I said before, just make sure that you at least have objectives that measure the outcomes, because that is what is going to help you to say, this is the impact of this PR activity, this plan that we did, this campaign on the business need and what the business wants to achieve. So let us look at some examples. Output objectives: increase the number of positive media mentions of minty cream amongst food influencers by 30% by the end of June. So can you see? Positive media reviews, not just media reviews, because you can get media reviews that are negative. Someone say, oh, all PR is good PR. Not necessarily. You can get PR that's, or publicity or mentions that is in a place where your target audience is not reaching. So imagine you want to reach a certain target group and you get featured in a business magazine. Meanwhile, your target audience is lifestyle magazine and lifestyle media they consume. That's a waste of effort. So you can't say all PR is good PR. You can't just say, oh, we want to be on all platforms. Which are the platforms that are specific or that will be important for the target audience that you want to reach? So you can see, setting these objectives and going through this process makes you even efficient as a PR person. So you're not just spreading yourself too thin. Minty cream, we're focusing on food influencers. Now, if influencers or other media platforms, because as it is, when something, by the time you have food influencers promoting, giving reviews, other, general blogs or lifestyle platforms or news platforms, they begin to get interested, and you can then have, other kind of like media mentions, earned mentions, but that you are focusing, especially if you don't have resources, we'll focus on this, and then the other mentions can be a byproduct, and we want to increase it by 30% by the end of June. So we know exactly what we want to achieve and how we are going to measure, so that when the end of June comes, we know what we are measuring. We want to see the sentiment, we want to see the reviews we're tracking. Is it positive? What is the tone? And then we will measure the tone of each of the reviews. Were they by food influencers? If they were not by food influencers, it's not that they won't count, but it's like it would then be an add-on benefit, right? In addition to the ones that the food influencers have done. So the next one, increase corporate ranking on XY best company to work by 3 places within 1 year. So if this is our objective, as a comms person, you put on your comms cap. When I said to you that when you set your objective, it's easier to define your strategy. Before I go and create any strategy for this, I will then ask myself, the people that are, let's say we want to increase 3 places, maybe increase in 3 places gets us to the second place. I'm going to ask myself, the people that are in the top 3 or top 5, what is the criteria? What are they doing that we're not doing? And I'm beginning to list it. You will then find out, okay, there are things your organization needs to put in place that is not in the purview of comms. So you go to HR. HR, if you want to become the best company to work, these are some of the HR policies that we need to have. You go to this other department. These are the employee programs. And internal comms, you work together with HR to create certain programs, think about benefits. Oh, these organizations, they have these benefits for their employees. They do this. So your organization begins to make those changes that are important for this ranking. Can you see it? So this, it's the mindset and thinking of a strategic thinker. Don't joke with your objectives. And so by the time you've done all of that within the year, you can then say, these are the changes that were made. This is the input of comms. Then you begin to put out, stories and highlight any things about your culture. Maybe you create a content thing that features your employees, whatever it is. And then you're able to show that, yes, this is how we were able to achieve that. Outcome objective, raise awareness of cord safety messaging amongst nursing mothers from 10% to 35% in 12 months. Maybe there's been an increase in cord death and your organization is, championing this cause of cord safety. So we want to raise awareness of cord safety messaging. What do new mothers need to do? So you can see there, the target is nursing mothers. You didn't just say women. I didn't say all mothers, nursing mothers, because who needs cords? Nursing mothers. And then you're increasing it from 10% to 35%. So I would then ask myself, okay, nursing mothers, what will be the best way? So when I think about my strategy, when I'm thinking about my tactics, what will be the best way to raise this awareness among nursing mothers? Because nursing mothers are really stressed. You know, they're sleep deprived. What will be the best way? Do I need to do audiovisual? Do I need to engage the husband so that the husband, that way you're able to look for the best fit? Like I said, when your objectives are clear, it's easier to say this is the best fit. Elevate awareness of Ella beauty by 15% amongst millennial women between ages 28 and 35 by the end of 2023. I just want you, I'm going through it so that you can see how specific they are and so that you can understand the reasoning behind them, so that it's easy to know how to measure. So you can see here, they've defined the millennial women, they've defined the ages, they've defined the when and what it is that we're doing. Business result, you want to reduce the cost of preparing annual report by 25%. So as comms, you're saying, you know what, because in some organizations, comms, you know, has to put together the annual report. You can say, you know what, let's try something innovative. Let's do a 3-4 pager with the highlights of the report. And then we're going to put a QR code at the back, which you will scan, that will take you to the website that has the full report. That saves us the cost of printing. That saves us the cost of having bulky annual reports materials, and then you save the company money. Improve call center resolution time by 5% within 6 months. So you take the call center, their call logs, and you realize people are complaining about this specific issue. Why don't we create this content, or why don't we establish this channel where people can learn how to do this thing so that they don't have to be calling the call center, and that reduces the time they spend per call or spend addressing this issue, because they can redirect them to this platform, or people don't even need to be calling about this particular issue, and they can focus on other things, and you save the organization money. So again, you can see how everything ties together. So let's look at an example from this organization called NL, which is in the energy space. And they said that one of their aims is to strengthen their already impressive and acknowledged global leadership position on the new energy scene. And so over the next 3 years, they want to develop in terms of renewables, digitalization for greater reductions. And those of you who work in the oil and gas energy space, you know that carbon emissions reductions, those are these emerging concurrent themes at the moment. And then, you know, they said their strategy is based on sustainability, and, you know, integrating the shared value or open innovation practices in business processes. Now, as a comms person, again, we're wearing our comms cap, what are the words or what are the elements in this overall or overarching vision that we need to pay attention to? We want to strengthen global leadership position. We want to robust or further build our development in renewables and digitalization. That affects your messaging. Strategy based on sustainability, reputation, you know, still messaging as well. So you're thinking, okay, these are the things I want to do. Now we go to say, what are overarching comms goals? These are not objectives, but these are the overarching comms goals that you can get from that corporate vision. Number one, internalize the perception of NL as a global business. Number two, develop and implement a global brand strategy to reflect the NL scale and international presence. Number three, elevate the credentials of NL for innovation and sustainability. Number four, leverage financial communications to position NL as a global best practice benchmark. And number five, empower our digital communications to become best in class. Now, let me go back. When you look at your organization's overarching vision and strategy, there's so many goals you can bring out of it. Now, you may not be able to do or implement all your goals in 1 year. You only have 12 months, and then you have to think about your resources, but you need to know what is more important. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to ask my senior leaders, what is more important to us right now? Let's order. Do we want to first, you know, push out messaging that about sustainability, push out our positioning within that space, being a thought leader there? Do we want to focus on this global leadership position? Then, you know, this renewables and digitalization, I'm going to ask them to prioritize, because that would then help me to prioritize my goals. So I know that, okay, for Q1, let us focus on elevating the credentials for NL in terms of innovation and sustainability. So we say that is what we will pursue. Now, let's create the objective. Increase awareness of sustainability initiated by 35% amongst general public in the operating countries in 12 months. Now, if NL has a lot of sustainability objectives, I'm going to be asking, are we able to promote all of the sustainability objectives? Do we want to focus on 2 and push that out to have more, impact, or do you want to do all of it? Again, that depends on other factors. By 35% among general public. Like I said, general public, I don't like when, or not I don't like, it's just more efficient when you define the target audience. So do we just want to say general public? Do we want to say public in certain countries, or do we want to say men and women? What do we exactly want to focus on? And then we want to be positioned amongst the 3 first positions in the global sustainability competitive index. By the end of 2023, like in the previous example I gave you. So if we want to be in the top 3 position, the people that are there, why are they there? What are they doing right? What are the requirements? Because indexes like this, ranking, they're always criteria and their requirements. So you as a comms person, you know that if this is an objective, we need to know what it takes for us to be on this list or to be featured, what changes we need to make. And then what strategy are we going to use to position ourselves to be considered for this and to be, positioned in that first 3 positions. So I hope you can see how there's this nice seamless flow, and this comes from you answering the questions. Just what does my organization want to achieve? I'm really focusing on that, because at the end of the day, look, you're going to be judged based on the achievements with regards to what the organization wants to achieve. That thing of, comes our way spending money, because we've done an event, and at the end of the day, we can't really say, we got social media followers. Okay, and that did what? Increase in social media followers is great, but did that lead to, an increase in our customers? Did that help to maintain the relationship with our customers? Did that help to further brand loyalty? What did that do? And that you must always be able to tie to what the organization wants to achieve. Again, I've told you, sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it is very, 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 very important. So let's look at a real life case study. Bio oil. I love bio oil. I don't know if anybody has ever used this product. It's a skincare oil to help with stretch marks, scars, and all of that. And they had a business need. They wanted to protect sales revenue and maintain market leadership position, to defend against replicas. They wanted to also secure new customers, but then they also wanted to encourage existing users to purchase more frequently. For those of you who have organizations that are selling a product or a service, think about how to nurture your existing client base. I find it very interesting how the strategy is always to get new customers. I'm like, but you're ignoring your existing customers. Your existing customers, if you nurture the relationship with them, you get them to purchase repeatedly. But most importantly, you have an opportunity to turn them into advocates, and they're bringing their friends, they're bringing their community. So it saves you the cost of getting a new the cost that you spend on getting a new customer, because research has shown that it costs you more to secure a new customer than to convert an existing customer to a repeat customer. So that's an aside, but yeah, this is what this brand wanted to achieve. And so here's the communication opportunities to go and engage social media community populated with testimonials that communicate the different uses of bio oil, and they wanted to stimulate an intention to purchase. What was the target audience? Can you see define? They didn't say women. Teenage girls with stretch marks, women with scars, women, and that's not all women. So women don't have scars. And pregnant women and new moms. Very, very straight to the point. So there are some of the objectives that they set. They split it between engagement, amplification, and impact. Engagement. Achieve above average 1.2% social media engagement rate over the campaign period. Again, you can see the use of 1.2%. Imagine if they wrote above average. What is above average? How do we know that we have gotten above average? What you think is above average, you can go back to your senior leaders and like, no, this is not average. This is not above average. So you need to be very specific. And numbers, you can't. I think numbers are clear. That's what I want to say. Amplification. Want to secure 55 items of media coverage mentioning the campaign's key messages, going back to that point of every PR is good PR, or every PR there's no bad PR. If you have a feature that doesn't talk about your key messages, or that shares the wrong key messages, then that's been a waste of time for you, because it does not help you with your objective, right? And then achieve a circulation reach in excess of 5 million. For this one, I would say, it's missing the who, circulation reach, where, with whom, and all of that. And then impact, drive 20,000 new quality Facebook fans with no significant drop at the end of the campaign, which is important. So for some of you that may have done giveaways, you tell them like the page, do this, do that. By the time the giveaway is over, you realize that there's now a drop. So for them, it's not just enough to create these fans. We need to be able to sustain them. So you're thinking, okay, we need a strategy that engages them, that keeps them consistent, that also gets them to bring people into this community that we're creating. And then you must demonstrate they want to demonstrate a positive impact on intent to purchase among at least 25% of the Facebook community. So we're not just bringing people to this Facebook community, at least 25% must have an intent to purchase. And those 25%, that leads to sales, right? You can then track the number. You can then track how many of them purchased and how that has had an impact on sales. Can you see how clear these objectives are? Then you can now go to the strategy. Based on all of these things that we say that we want to achieve, this is what we're going to do. So they've done their research. Remember, communication research is so important. Sometimes we don't do research. And I used to be in this boat too. I didn't understand the importance of research until I started to do it to gain insight. And I was like, I have been shortchanging myself and my clients by not doing this thing properly. So what they did was, they wanted to accelerate the recommendation process, because two findings from consumer surveys showed that, look, the success had come from recommendations. And for those of you that are beauty enthusiasts or enthusiasts of the beauty industry, it's very unlikely as a woman or a man that you're going to try a new beauty product that you've never heard of just like that. Somebody must have used it and said to you it's good, or even if it's not someone someone you at least trust, that you think is credible, before you even say you're going to try it. So recommendation is very, very, very important. And then it's so that 4 out of 5 women think that they are the only ones with skin imperfections. And remember, this product is about skin imperfections. So they said, you know what, let's tell the skin story. Let's show women that, they're not the only ones with these imperfections. So the campaign was delivered to facilitate peer-to-peer recommendation. Remember, if I go back, they want existing users to purchase more frequently, and they're trying to build a community. So they want those peer-to-peer recommendations through social media and reinforce brand love amongst existing fans to drive repeat purchases. Can you see how this ties to the objective, how this ties to the business need? And then inspire new people to try it. So you inspire new people to try it, you win them over, their new customers, turn them to repeat customers, turn them into advocates who recommend to other people. It's like a very nice, sweet cycle. And then the secondary objective is to use the content to drive media coverage. So yeah, just some of the results. They achieved over 4,000 people talking about it and an average engagement rate of 3%. If you remember, it was 1.2 that they set. They got 55 items of coverage, 20 media outlets shared the campaign. And then they carried out a survey, which is measurement of the Facebook community. And they saw that 48.8, felt that Facebook page encouraged them to purchase. Again, what they said was at least 25%. So they've knocked that one out of the park. And then they, comments showed that the campaign helps people, motivate people to use bio oil. So they have people that used it for the first time, or people that tried the product, and then you're able to track how many of them are repeat customers, net promoter score. There's a lot you can measure here. And then over 500 brand advocates share powerful testimonial content and were recruited as brand ambassadors who were featured in a subsequent marketing campaign. So you can imagine 500 brand advocates are everyday people. Yes, they used about 4 influencers. I know they used a model, but majority of them were largely everyday people. Imagine how powerful that is. But they didn't just wake up one day to create this. They started with the process, the business need, the objectives, and then they created they defined their communication opportunity, which is important, target audience, and all of this. If you want to know how to go through this process, you can sign up for our Comms Intensive Africa program on strategic communications. We really teach you how process by process. This class is really just on objective, but there's a lot to teach on the different sections. Okay, so let's summarize. Articulate your inputs. What do you need in terms of your finances, resources? You need to create press releases, what kind of content, all of those good stuff. Do we need a Facebook page? And then specify your output objectives, define the change that you want to make in the mind of your target audience through your outcome objective. Remember, is it awareness, behavior, attitude, understanding, and then identify the impact you want to make on business performance. But please note that you will not always make an impact on business performance, but where it applies, definitely it's good to have it. All right. So usually in my courses, I always like to attach a template which you can use and apply. But there's this, these guidelines that is really, really comprehensive, but it's about 14 pages. So I said, instead of trying to replicate it, I will share the guidelines, I will share the resource, the material, but then I will talk you through how to apply it, because it's really, it's really important, it's useful basically. But before I do that, I want to just share with you a simple sample of how you should think about your objectives when you want to set them. So improve what, by how much, amongst who, within when/time frame. So you want to improve awareness, improve brand equity by 20% amongst millennial women by or within 6 months or by the end of 2023. So that is that is how your objective should be written. Please don't write things like increase mentions. Just write increase mentions. What does that mean? How are you going to measure this increase in mentions? Where are you currently? So if you see the examples here, increase the number of positive media reviews of T&S stores amongst travel influencers by 20% by the end of May. Elevate awareness of exquisite jewelry by 10% amongst fashion-forward women. Again, it's not all women, fashion-forward women between the ages of 28 and 40 in the second quarter of the year. Improve relations and responsiveness of our top 5% institutional shareholders to stabilize stock price and retain our market capitalization. One thing I should also highlight to you is that when you set your objective, you already know who you need to collaborate with within the organization to achieve it. This, for example, a lot of companies have their investor relations teams. So you're going to work with the investor relations team and say, okay, how do we want to improve relations and responsiveness? We're going to, are we going to create special content for our shareholders? Do we want to do an event for them? Do we want to appreciate them? Do we want to, what do we want to do? Do we want to do a video campaign? What, I don't know. Again, it really depends, but what will make them, and you get the data and feedback from the investor relations team. What do these institutional shareholders, the top 5%, what do they really care about? What's important to them? And then you create something that then leads to them improving relations and their responsiveness. So this is, again, another reason why your objectives are important. So let's look at this this template. So this is called the Guides for Setting Measurable Public Relations Objectives and Updates. It was published by the Institute of Public Relations, September 2009. I will share the link as part of this course, but you can Google it. It's available on the internet, and I'm just going to talk you through it. So as we mentioned before, there are 3 forms of PR measurement for setting objective: output, outcomes, and business results. So output, you're looking at impressions, reach, frequency, total mentions, tone, sentiment, all of those things is on the output. Now, these lead to either awareness, comprehension, which can be understanding, attitude, and behavior, which in turn, depending on what the activity is and what is to be achieved, you have sales revenue, you have profit, you have market share increase, stock price, earnings per share, employee retention. For nonprofit organization, you're usually majorly going to be focused on outcomes, where you might have a similar or maybe when we make a business result is if, for example, there's a fundraising goal, a particular fundraising goal. So you're then able to articulate how Coms was able to contribute to the total figure. So if we got $10,000 from funders, what percentage or how did Coms contribute towards that? But mostly it's going to be on that outcome, increasing the support for the cause, increasing the number of donors, etc., etc. And so they define awareness, they define all the outcomes in this guide, which is very good. Guys, this guide is really good. So awareness, what do you want the target audience to see, hear, and read that they haven't done before? So you need to know their current awareness level. What do we want them to see? What do we want them to read about the brand? This is where your key messages then come in. Comprehension or understanding is what do you want them to understand that they didn't know before? Maybe, they're using the product wrongly. Maybe they have a wrong understanding of your brand, of the benefits of the business. So you're able to, shape that, and that you can do that through content. You can do that through webinars, different things to educate your target audience. Then attitude, what do you want them to believe and feel? Maybe they have a negative attitude towards your brand. by this thing that you're doing, how do you want them, the attitude to change? And then behavioral, what do you want them to do as a result of the communication? Do you want them to buy? Do you want them to walk into a store? Do you want them to register for something? Do you want them to support? Do you want them to donate? What is it that you want them to do? And so the next thing is what this template also does for you is, and which is something you should do, but you don't have to use this particular template, but I'm using it for example purposes. You can see here, they're showing last year goals, last year results for main competitors, reasonable improvement areas. You need to set the right benchmark. So if we take awareness, for example, last year, what awareness level did we reach? What were the results? So if last year we wanted to have an increase in awareness at 35%, but awareness levels were about 20%, our competitors, where is the awareness level? Is it at 40%? So if we, for example, want to be a market leader and our competitor has an awareness level of 40%, then we cannot now set an objective to raise our own awareness levels to 35%. That won't make us number one. That won't make us the market leader. So part of your communication research is actually researching your competitors. Like I said, I'll do a totally different course and video on that. So what are the things and information that you need? And this helps you to set your objectives. Can you see all of this thinking comes before your strategy? Way before your strategy. So you know, okay, we need to be in the top 3. The people are in the top 3. Why are they there? What are the metrics? So you know the exact numbers. What degree of change do we need? So we want to change preference. We want them to choose our brand and not this person's brand. What do we need to do? By how much do we need to increase brand equity? Brand associations, how do they need to change? So that you're then articulating the reasonable incremental improvements, because at the end of the day, these objectives must tie with what your organization wants to achieve. So you may not necessarily use all of these templates. Some of these things you may not have the information, but think about it. You know, these are the questions, at least ask and be able to understand, okay, this is where we were last year. This is where we are now. This is where our competitors are. This is the growth they've been able to have. So this is an objective that we should set if we want to be number one, if you want to enter the East African market, if you want to do XYZ, if you want to get more donors, if you want to get this interest, this is what we need to do. Okay, and then finally, it then goes into your objectives itself. And I love that it gives you examples, you know, which is why I just put here, but it gives you the examples that you can work with. So for example, under output objectives, it says create, and it says impressions, create 10 million impressions to 200 placements in national print and broadcast outlets that mentions the study findings by the end of the campaign in June. So can you see? You know, first of all, you're targeting national print and media broadcast. Now, because I want to have 10 million impressions, I'm going to have to streamline this 200 media placement, because if these 200 media placements are on platforms that don't have great reach and visibility, I may not reach my 10 million impressions. So that means I'm targeting tier 1 platforms. I'm targeting platforms that will give me these 10 million impressions. That informs your strategy. Do you see it? That informs your media relation strategy, the media houses and journalists that you are going to target. So this is why it is very important to set your objective, because it really just clears things. It almost gives you like a tunnel type of vision, and then it makes you more efficient and more strategic as a communicator. And that's what you need, so that not coming to tell you, where is come spending money? You're very clear. This is the value that we're bringing to the table. So if you look at awareness in outcome objectives, raise awareness of cleaning power amongst women 25 to 34 from 20% last year to 50% this year. Create an understanding. I love this one. Create an understanding of insurance pricing models among 75% of insured adults by the end of the campaign in November. Maybe because of the confusion about insurance pricing models, the study or survey research has shown that people are not getting insurance because there's just confusion. So you're saying, okay, you know what? Let us create this understanding. We are going to create series of content, engagement activities. Maybe you do webinars. You know, maybe you need to go into offices. Maybe you need to engage employers. And then, you know, maybe we even need to redefine the pricing models. How do we communicate the pricing models? How do we need to create a better understanding so people understand this is what it is? And then, you know, you would then create a strategy that helps you to achieve it, because at the end of the day, the overall goal for this particular objective may be to get more people getting insurance. So you're able to show that as the understanding was increasing, more people were signing up to the insurance. So you're going to be showing the interrelation and the correlation of what's your activity, the activity you've done, and then the end result. So I hope that you can see, you know, that relationship between your objectives and what it is that your organization wants to do. And so if I should summarize your output, you're thinking in terms of your press releases, you're thinking in terms of reach, key messages, tone and sentiment, and frequency. Outcomes, you're thinking in terms of awareness, understanding, attitude, and behavior. And for your business results, you're thinking about sales, revenue, profits, market share, employee retention. Remember, if you're a non-profit organization, you're mainly going to be focused on the outcomes, but then the results can be, if there's a fundraising goal, then you can tie some of your activities to that fundraising goal. And remember, you don't have to have all three objectives, but a very critical one that you need to have and measure is the outcome objective. If you've sent out press release, what did you do? So I look at comms plan, that what is the effect? Okay, we want media measures on tier 1 platform to achieve what exactly. You need to be very, very clear. I hope that you've been able to see how this helps you to be more efficient in your work. So when you have to create a strategy or plan or whatever it is, don't just rush to just create a strategy. Ask the important questions and set the objective. In fact, when you set the objective and you go back to your senior leaders, they can even give you input on your objective that you can then bear in mind, then create the strategy, so that you don't go, you create the strategy and tactics and they say, oh, there's no money. Oh, this is, everybody is aligned. Remember, everybody is now on the same page. That's why your objectives are important. When you do the work to get it right at this stage, because this is the foundation, everything else is easy. And I think for me, the greatest thing is that you're then able to articulate the value. You're then able to articulate the impact of whatever it is that you have done. If you've done this event, you can justify why you spent $5,000 on this event, because you can show the result, so that when next you want to do it, they're not going to push back and say, oh, you're just spending money. So to really wrap up this class, here are some important questions that you need to ask. Our objectives based on a thorough understanding of our business environment. Look, whether you're in for-profit or non-profit, you thoroughly need to understand the organization. You need to understand the environment. You need to understand the industry. You need to understand the trends. And, like I said, I'm going to do a communications research video where I'm just going to be showing you what you need to be asking, the factors, the things you need to bear in mind, because all of this contributes to the success or failure of your activity as a communications professional. And it's something that we haven't paid attention to, and we need to begin to. You need to understand it. You need to know to what degree your objectives reflect the organization's goals and objectives. If what you are doing, this campaign you want to launch, this activity you want to do, this strategy does not tie to what the organization wants to achieve, there is no point. I can tell you, there's no point. What's going to happen is at the end of the year, they say, okay, you spent this, you got followers. You need to be able to tell them how the followers that you got, led into, got them into that funnel, created interest, created the desire to purchase, and then led to the final purchase. You must be able to articulate those. To what degree are objectives meaningful, measurable, and reasonable? Sometimes it looks good to be able to say, oh, we want to get 20,000 app downloads in 2 weeks, but is it really achievable? Even if you had all the resources in this world, looking at the trends and research, which is why the research is important. People don't just download new apps for just like that, especially if you're targeting a demographic that they are averse to downloading new apps. Why should they download this new app? And why do you think that 10,000 or 20,000 of them will do so in 2 weeks? And then it's not just about app downloads. Another thing I always say is, okay, we've gotten 20,000 downloads. After downloading it, will they continue to use it? Would the people fall off? Will it, out of the 20,000, will 75% fall off? And then that leaves us where? So you need to be thinking about these things. Do our objectives specify output, outcomes, and business results, as the case may be? But again, remember that outcomes are really, really, really important for you to measure. And have we determined the best time frame to achieve the objective? Please, yes, while it may look good to say, oh, we're going to achieve this big thing in 1 month, is it really achievable? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be like, comms did not deliver. It's not that comms did not deliver, it's just that the objective wasn't realistic. And I know sometimes it comes from our senior leaders. And so you must be able to advise, and you must be able to give feedback. What I always say is how you give the feedback is what's important. So sometimes they say, oh, they want to do this. They say, oh, it's impossible. It can't be done. Most CEOs don't want to hear it can't be done, especially those, people in the innovation side. Oh, it can never be done. No. You say, this is what this organization wants to achieve. This is, what success looks like. Right now, this time frame that we want to achieve this thing. If we have so and so inputs, we'll be able to achieve this. What can be an alternative that we can pursue that will lead us to long-term reputational, use all the grammar to show them the alternative way. Don't just say it's impossible, it cannot be achieved. Again, that's probably another conversation for another day, but you must be able to say, don't be boxed into doing something that you know is not realistic or achievable just because you want to satisfy your CEO. There's a way you can make your CEO to see reason. It's all part of engaging your internal stakeholders and getting buy-in. So I do hope that this has been helpful to you. And honestly, I hope that you begin to apply this, because it comes naturally now to me, because I've been doing this, applying this method for almost 3 years now, and it's easier. So think through this process, your research, your objectives, start using the templates, start implementing it. And then if you have any further question, you can always connect with me. My website is www.adedoyinjaisimi.com. You can send me an email, adedoyin@thecomsavenue.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to answer your questions. So if there's something that is not clear, just let me know. But I really want I want you to see the impact it's going to have in the work that you do as a communications professional. So thank you so much for purchasing this course. I just encourage you to take it a step further. If this has been beneficial, or if you watched any of my courses and they've been of benefit or use to you, value to you, please leave a feedback. It encourages me to know that, okay, I'm doing something, because I really enjoy what I'm doing. And then one of the things I really want to do this year is really to help comms professionals and for-profit, non-profit organizations to deliver results. So I'm doing a lot of training. So if you want me to come in to train your comms team, to train your employees, because a lot of employees, they don't understand the value of comms and PR, and that also limits the work that the comms team is able to do. So I also train employees and executives, so I can tailor, so I have bespoke trainings that I do for organizations just based on their particular situation and what it is that they want to achieve. But the goal really is for the comms team to just deliver results. So you can engage with me and watch all my other content on Comms Simplified series. And yeah, I hope to connect with you on the next course. Thank you so much. Bye.